Dear Shyamo, we are live. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mom. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this exciting session of Women Ascension's 1 Million Leadership 2030 program of community outreach series hosted by the Community Outreach Department through the Mental Health and Wellbeing Fellows. I'm Mrs. Chiamo Serafin Johnson from Cameroon, your moderator for today. Women Ascension is a global non-profit organization advancing gender equality and the sustainable development goals across 134 countries. In 2021, Women Ascension has worked since 2021. Women Ascension has worked to enhance economic stability, social inclusion, and the quality of life for women worldwide. 1 Million Leadership Program 2030 is a medium for preparing emerging leaders with skills, mentorship, and global networks for sustainable impact spanning through community outreach, climate action, cultural heritage, peace and justice, research, publishing, digital advocacy, and AI and STEM learning. A global inclusive movement that empowers women to rise, lead, and create impact through education, culture, and collaboration. Today's session, mental health and well-being among youth and women, challenges the face, invites us to engage in a thoughtful and compassionate dialogue around one of the most pressing issues of our time. In a world marked by rapid change, and growing pressures, mental health is not just a personal concern, it is a collective responsibility. Together, we will explore the emotional, social, and cultural factors that shape mental well being and reflect on how we can build more supportive, stigma free communities. This session aligns with the vision of the Sustainable Development Goals, particularly SDG 3, 4, 5, 10, and 16, and reinforces our shared belief that every individual deserves care, dignity, and the space to heal and grow. It is my pleasure to introduce to you all mentor Mrs. Amna Ansari, a passionate certified mental well-being coach and awareness trainer, internationally certified neurolinguistic programming practitioner, postpartum depression awareness advocate, and corporate wellness trainer whose career is dedicated to supporting life and empowering minds. She herself is a mental health trainer who delivers engaging workshops, insightful trainings, and evidence based strategies that inspire meaningful change. Her mission is to normalize conversations about mental health, reduce stigma, and provide people with the tools they need to thrive both personally and professionally. Having experienced firsthand overwhelming emotions that come with motherhood, she has made it a mission to raise awareness, provide support, and empower women to seek help without shame or stigma. Mrs. Amna has recently launched her coaching services by the name Inner Room Compass, where she takes one one-on-one and group coaching sessions, helping individuals achieve goals from employee struggles to day-by-day functions. A quick reminder is that every session is an opportunity not just to listen, but to act on all what you learn. Take note, interact, ask questions, reflect on how the session can shape your own projects and ideas. Choosing, shaping, and fine tuning your own project ideas will be the first step towards real impact for yourself and the world at large towards meeting SDGs by 2030. We have the honor once more, Mrs. Amnan Sari, to have you in our midst. And thank you for your patience, your generosity, and precious time. Thank you for being here. Let's listen with openness, speak with honesty, and move forward with purpose. The floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Miss Yamo, for such a wonderful introduction. And thank you so much, everybody, for being here today. What we're going to talk about is definitely one of the most important topics we struggle to acknowledge and have open conversations if we are being very honest here right now. Even by living in this time of 2025, there are so many communities out there who still think that talking about mental health, even acknowledging a certain struggle of mental health, is a taboo, and there are so many stigmas attached. And with tonight's session, I hope I bring out the awareness of how important it is to accept and become aware of the mental health struggles we are facing, our youth is facing, um, and we as individuals and communities, what we can do to help them and make them comfortable in recognizing those struggles and then taking the step forward. Thank you so much once again. Um, if we can have the change of slide now, please. All right, thank you. So, the agenda of tonight's session is about exploring certain challenges that are faced by both youth and women in today's fast changing world, understanding the social and emotional and cultural factors that contribute to stress, anxiety, and low well being, highlight the impact of stigma, lack of access to support, and societal expectations around mental health. And at the end, of course, we're going to talk about certain strategies of how we can build resilience around mental health, encourage open conversations, and strengthen community based mental health support. Next, please. So, for the first part of the session, we're going to talk about the mental health and well being among youth. As I just said in the start of the session, there are so many challenges our youngsters are facing in this fast paced world. This session is all about highlighting them and strategizing of how we can move forward in supporting them. So let's talk about the struggles of young generation that are facing. Next, please. All right. So let's have a very real picture. The world the youth is living right now is a very technological based. Everything is running on a fast, it's like a treadmill. You're running on a, I don't know, 10 kilometer, 15 kilometers an hour, and not an hour, maybe a minute, but you're running on a very fast speed, and everybody is running after everything because they want to stay in touch. They want to be after the other. They want to achieve everything, and they do not want to be left behind in achieving their goals. So growing up in this fast paced world is, always taking up something to do to stay in the race. Technology and social media, they have sort of blurred the line between the real and the virtual life. Whatever we are seeing in social media, it, for the young generation, it feels to them that this is it, this is what we need to do, and they leave so many things in the pending list and they start their race towards the other goal because they think that this is more important. There is a flood of information in social media. There's a flood of information outside the world, and they are constantly trying to, you know, overburden their brain as well without realizing that they are overburdening their brain capacity. There's a comparison that is running in their mind on a daily basis. One group of people is doing this, one of my friend is doing this, somebody I know is doing this, and why cannot I do this? I should be also in that race. So this generation feels the pressure of performing every time. They want to be perfect in everything. They want to stay relevant. They want to stay up to date. If you talk about the academics, they are always trying to run in the race of being the first. I want to be the first doing this. I want to be the first in doing this. While they are having their creativity, being what I want to say is that while they're having their creativity being shared around, outside world, they don't realize the amount of stress they are taking on their body, the amount of stress they are taking on their capacity of brain functioning. It leaves very little space to rest. It leaves very little space to reflect on how their day has been, what they have been doing in the past week. And a lot of times there's a question of authenticity because everyone is doing everything and everyone wants to be that certain individual they are seeing in the virtual world. The young generation is already trying to identify themselves, who we are, where do we belong, who do we belong with. So while they are chasing the maybe the realistic goals in their own world, sometimes they're chasing the unrealistic goals and they are not able to connect themselves with the identity that they want to create for themselves. There are rarely any pauses, there are rarely any reflections to see, okay, this is something that I'm doing, is it worth it, is it worth the energy, the strength that I'm putting in. There are a lot of questions that run in their mind, but we start to question the youth again. Are you really looking into these questions for yourselves? Or are you just trying to be in that race of achieving those goals? Next, please. Um, can this be shared as a full screen because the last few lines they're not very clear.
Let me try to do that. And no, I see that probably in my laptop it's showing like
Okay,
this.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, it's okay. We will figure out. Thank you so much. So, according to the World Health Organization, um, I've shared some researches with the numbers as well, so we know what is going on and what kind of conversation we're going to have. So, according to WHO, 1 in 6 people are aged between 10 to 19 years. So, globally, it is estimated that individuals who are between the ages of 10 and 19 they experience certain mental health conditions which sometimes, not sometimes, but a lot of times they go unrecognized and untreated. When anxiety and stresses have become very common, many behavioral challenges like substance abuse, bullying, destructive behaviors have started to be noted in communities. This is what I'm definitely going to talk about in the next slides. So, while we are trying to keep our children safe, there is, as I mentioned, there is a race of achieving everything. And with that race comes the experience of anxiety and stress because everything is running side by side, everything is running parallel. There's not a very fine line for people to identify that is it the effort they're putting in or is it the stress that they are taking up on themselves in order to prove themselves. That is where the certain mental health struggles start to creep in the young generation. And because there is disconnection, there's not a lot of communication among the families, among the communities, which we will be talking about as well in the coming slides. um, there's not a lot of open conversation to identify what exactly is going on with the young minds. Next, please. We need to change the slide. Okay, thank you. While we know that anxiety, stress, depression, anger issues, and everything are the mental health struggles that the young generation is struggling with, certain struggles they go unnoticed and unidentified and unaddressed. One of them is insomnia. Insomnia is one of the most unrecognized mental health concern among youths. So there's a child and adolescent psychiatrist who, in one of his researches, identified that it's not just about the trouble sleeping. It is the effect of insomnia on nearly third of young people. often amplifying other mental health struggles such as anxiety and depression. Somebody is not able to sleep, they feel like, oh, I'm just tired. I just have a lot of work to do and I'm pushing myself. But underneath the surface, under the tip of the iceberg, there are so many other struggles that are going on. So, insomnia also comes in certain forms. There are three forms that I've mentioned here. Early insomnia is when a person struggles to fall asleep, which a lot of us do struggle if we are being honest about it. There are days when we are, having trouble to fall asleep. Then there is middle insomnia. It happens when sleep is frequently disrupted during the night. We don't realize it, what is causing it, but a sleep is frequently disturbed. Then there's the late insomnia, which is more common among those who are having um, the sleep disturbances on a regular basis. So while insomnia can seem like just a normal sleep trouble, it is not. Insomnia can happen because of a lot of reasons. It could be because of one, just a basic reason of being tired and just overtired. But if you're talking about the young generation, their mind is constantly on an active mode. I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this, I have to do that, and they are overthinking about the next days. They are sort of assuming what is going to happen with me for a certain situation. And because they're keeping their mind so active, unintentionally, a lot of times, they often have the trouble falling asleep. Yes, there's a comment here who is saying that this is also because of the screen time. I will be coming to this point as well. Screen time is definitely one of the biggest reasons in today's time, because when we go to bed, we have our cell phones in front of our hand because we do not want to miss out on any information or anything. Or maybe just a doom scrolling we want to do because that has become our way of de stressing and our way of relaxing, which is definitely not. When we wake up in the middle of the night, maybe the first thing we do is we check our phone. Are we missing a message? Are we missing a notification? Are we missing, an email? So a lot of these things tend to have unhealthy impact on sleep, and the young generation has so sadly taken up these, habits of checking the cell phone and sleeping with the cell phone and waking up with the cell phone. All right, may I have the next slide, please? Okay. So, before I talk about it, I'm sorry if this creates any sorts of trigger for anybody. I apologize in advance because this is also one of the most um, increased mental health struggle reason of mental health struggles. I wanted to add this in our session today. So, there are many forms of substance abuse, but according to few researches, substances like alcohol, cannabis, and nicotine is one of the most pressing mental health challenges the youth is facing today. In one of the researches of 2022, 30.7% of high school 12th graders reported using cannabis in the past year. 6.3% reported using it in the past 30 days. Okay, let me identify. This is mostly the research is based on the US um, community and US area, but because it is so much related and I can understand so many of you here can relate to this, and we have incidents happening in our own communities. So that is why I wanted to share this. And this number of 2022 research is an alarming one. While in 2024, 3.5% of middle school students and 7.5% of high school students used e-cigarettes or vapes. As the time advanced, there are different forms of substances that the children and the youth started to use, and look at the category here. It has started from middle school also. What is the age of a middle school child? 12, 13, 11? It is so alarming. And there are deep rooted reasons why these children ended up using these kinds of substances. The youth feel disconnected or isolated. Substances can become a coping strategy, offering a sense of escape and numbness. This is sort of a defense mechanism for them for shutting down their feelings. Those feelings could be anger, those feelings could be hate, those feelings could be, sadness, unhappiness, and they want to suppress those feelings. And for them, the use of a substance is a way of escape. In some social groups, substance use is the main activity, making it hard to say no without becoming isolated because of peer pressure. While our children are growing up in a very technological advanced and information advanced world, the peer pressure is still there. And because of peer pressure, so many of the children are becoming um, victims, I would say, victims of substance abuse. Why? Because they're in a certain gathering and everybody else is using a certain type of substance, and because they want to fit in, they want to fit in that social circle, in that group of individuals. They don't want to disappoint. They don't want to be called cowards. They don't want to be called or labeled certain names. They also end up using substance abuse without realizing the impact it is going to have on their mental well being. Next slide, please. Social isolation. When the COVID happened in 2020, social distancing was one of the most common ways that was adopted by so many people almost all over the world so that the disease would not spread to communities, to people, to individuals. What did that social distancing do to us? While we were also connected with everybody digitally, there was a loneliness in life. Let's understand why it was adapted for the youth, because the schools and colleges did not want the students to miss out the academic year. Of course, as parents as well, it was important for us to know that our children are staying in touch with their academic year and they are progressing, no matter what the result is, as long as they are connected with their academics. And what happened? Kids are more connected than ever, yet they feel lonelier. Those 2 years, I would say, those 2 years of COVID, when everything was online, the schools were online, the colleges were online, they were connected, but because of the fear of the disease spreading, everybody tend to stay inside their homes. What did it do in the long term? They felt it as the most comfortable way of staying inside. Even when things started to open up slowly, when there were, open spaces allowed, parks were allowed to have crowds, even with the distance. So many young people thought we are just going to stay home. Oh, we are still talking to our friends. We are still in touch with everybody digitally. It is not the physical presence that they were experiencing. It was a digital presence they were experiencing, but because it was the easy way out for them, they prefer to stay inside, they prefer to stay digitally connected. Because of more screen time, the concept of physical interaction seemed like an additional effort for many young people. They would prefer to sit at one place and stay connected virtually. Eventually, at the end of the day, it was the social isolation. So, COVID played a major role in social isolation, factoring in the mental health struggle because you feel loneliness, you feel sadness. The youth was unhappy. They They had the realization, okay, we are just sitting at one place and we are having a conversation on our phones, on our laptops, on our iPads. But they felt if we have to go out of the house, it is an extra effort and they did not feel like doing it. So social isolation is also one of the mental health struggles that has, taken a rise since the COVID started. Next, please. All right. Bullying or destructive behavior. So let's first understand what bullying is. Bullying happens when someone has more power and is more aggressive than the targeted person. A bully uses that power, whether it's physical, being more popular, or knowing embarrassing information to hurt the other person. We see this so much. It doesn't really have to be face to face. It is happening on the internet as well. It is happening by it is happening as cyberbullying. Physically, of course, the children think in the school that they have the power, they can do anything, they can be mean to the other person, somebody who is just trying to keep it to themselves, somebody who is just trying to, be who they are. A certain group of children will not accept that person as they are. Or a certain group of children might have found out a weak point of that particular student and they will start using that information in a negative way. They will start spreading rumors. And because the bullying party is in power, everybody will start believing them and everybody will start being on their side, leaving the victim student or the victim child all alone. Physical bullying, hitting, kicking, using your hands and legs. Verbal bullying, using foul language, using certain tonality, making the other person feel small, making the other person less seen around, spreading rumors. Cyberbullying, we all know what happens in cyberbullying. You take a certain chunk of information, you take a picture, and because there are so many platforms and websites and softwares where you can alter anything. So there are pictures that are being altered in a way that the bullying party feels is their right and they can spread as much false information as they can. And while AI is taking charge of everything around the world, it has become such a challenge to identify what is right and what is wrong, what is true and what is not true. So these kinds of bullying behavior have become very common. And again, there's a deep rooted reason for bullying. There's a deep rooted reason of destructive behavior that is happening among the young individuals. And of course, we'll talk about it in the coming slides. Next, please. All right. We have discussed insomnia, we have discussed bullying, we have discussed social isolation and everything. Those are the mental health struggles that have started to come up. Anxiety and depression has been there since years. Yes, it was not talked about before. Yes, because of the taboo and the stigma attached, just like other mental health struggles, anxiety and depression um, happens when all of the mentioned before struggles are not addressed at the correct time. So the term anxiety is often casually used. But there is a distinct difference between occasionally feeling anxious and having a diagnosable anxiety disorder. What do we do? There are days when we are feeling as if, we don't feel like doing something, we don't feel like talking to somebody. This is more common in young generation also because, they are trying to discover themselves, they are trying to discover their identity, and at the same time, they are feeling certain aspects of anxiety. And every other day they would say, oh, I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling anxious because I have a test. I'm feeling anxious because I want to talk to somebody. buddy in front of me and I'm not able to. The term anxiety has become very common to be used, but you cannot be anxious unless you are clinically diagnosed. So we need to understand that even labeling somebody that you are an anxious person, you need to understand that there has to be a clinical diagnosis before labeling somebody. You're not an expert to label somebody. You're just a layperson. Instead of telling the friend in front of you or a student in front of you or a child in front of you, you're an anxious person, how about you ask them, okay, what is it that you're feeling? Please tell me if I can help you. And then you take it from there. According to Sigmund Freud and Erik Erikson, depression is often due to two major contributors, love and work. We'll talk about it more, but I found it very interesting to add it here. When you love something and you really want to do it, or you love somebody and you want to, be around them, you have those butterflies in the stomach, you have those, goosebumps happening in your body. Um, that can be an aspect of anxiety. Again, we need to understand the clinical diagnosis characteristics for it. And work, we all know we all work in different categories. We work in different environments. We work on different levels. We know what a certain amount of work can do to our body or mind. Additionally, the influence of social media has introduced new complexities in understanding depression. Next, please. So before we label anybody with these words like, oh, you're an anxious person, oh, you're a depressed person, we need to understand that are they clinically diagnosed with it, or it is just something that they're feeling. So to be clinically diagnosed with anxiety, this is a list of physical symptoms that the person should be experiencing. Racing heart rate, butterflies in the stomach, concentration difficulties, restlessness, muscle tension, sleep disturbances. And before you label somebody, how about you be the support for them, especially the young generation? Be a support for them and let them know that you are there and you can connect them to a professional who will definitely guide you if this is actually a clinical anxiety. Same goes for depression. Oh, this is a term which we use on a daily basis. I'm so depressed today. I'm so depressed today. Depression is a very heavy feeling. Depression is a very heavy word. It comes with a lot of baggage. So you just cannot say, oh, I'm depressed. You are sad. You don't feel happy today. You are just feeling low today. But if there are certain characteristics of depression, which the list is shown here, I'm not sure if it is visible for depression. Can you change the slide so I can see if the list of depression is there? No, it's missing from your format, but there's a list of depression characteristics which you need to understand if it is happening with you for a certain period of time, for certain weeks, and it has started to affect your day-to-day function, then definitely it is an alarming situation where you need to go yourself or the young individual in front of you, they need the support to be connected to a professional. So, what are the factors that are impacting the youth mental health? Academic pressure, the competition, the fight to achieve more than the other, the comparison by family. Oh, this is such a common example. Most of the families do this. Look at your cousin. Look at your sister. Look at the XYZ family member who has been working so hard and has been excellent in academics. And the child feels like, their feelings, their efforts are just not valid anymore. Social media validation. Everything that you post on social media, you feel like you need to be validated, you need to be encouraged about it, and it has to be acknowledged. Peer influence, pressure of FOMO, online harassment, fear of missing out. I don't want to miss this. I want to know everything. I want to be in that situation as well. Lack of connection despite digital connectivity, which I just talked about in social isolation. COVID. What did COVID do to us? It made us less socially connected. It made us less physically connected with the people. Uncertainty among friendships, relationships, and job opportunities. Because of the standards that are coming in relationships, we feel if we don't do certain thing, the young generation, if they don't behave in a certain way, if they don't approve a certain group of friends, if they don't approve a certain individual, they will lose that friendship. All this leads to chronic stress and anxiety. These are some of the factors that I've listed. There's a huge list and it grows and grows as the time is passing, as the generation is growing. This list is increasing. And the chronic stress and anxiety is just becoming a part of life. Next, please. Let's talk about some emotional factors. We In the previous slide, it was the academic pressure, the family comparison, the peer influence, the social disconnection. How is it affecting us emotionally? How is it affecting the young generation emotionally? Low self esteem due to external validation. If you're not getting a like on your Instagram post, if you're not getting a comment on your Instagram story, you feel like it is not being validated or it is not important. Perfectionism. Oh, I have to do this perfectly. There is, I don't know if there's a definition of perfectly done. There is not one definition of perfectionism. It is you, us, I, we who make the definition of perfectionism. Emotional suppression. Certain situations make us suppress our emotions because if we share our feelings, we are labeled as weak, vulnerable, scared, coward. Identity confusion, navigating self, navigating belonging. Do I belong in this group? Do I belong in that group? Do I belong with this person? Do I belong in this community? Loneliness and lack of belonging, even in the crowds, which is so much related to social isolation that I've been talking about since the start. Next, please. Cultural factors. Again, it's pretty much the same thing. The family expectation. Look at the other person of your age. He or she has been progressing so much. Where are you? What are you doing? I don't see you doing the effort. Gender norms. Boys don't cry. Girls are taught to please everybody. Mental health stigma. Fear of judgment. If you will share a certain emotional struggle or a mental health struggle, oh, the judgment, the labels, the criticism the young people face. They are so scared, they would rather suppress themselves. This doesn't only happen in the families, it happens in schools as well. It happens in community, it happens in social groups also. The young generation does not want to be labeled as weak, and they would kill themselves to fit in. Collective pressure, decisions made for family honor, not personal happiness. This is still yet very much happening in certain conservative societies. Silence culture. Shh, we are not supposed to talk about it. Shh, if you talk about it, everybody will say that we are not a good family. This is what happens. Next, please. Can I see the next slide, please? Thank you. Okay, so we have talked about the factors, and now we are going to talk about how it impacts the stigma or what stigma comes up after this. Silence and suppression. Again, the youth avoid talking about emotional struggles because of the labels that will come after it: dramatic, weak, attention seeking. Uh, there's another word for it. Melodramatic. You're being melodramatic about it. It's not a big deal, or you're just making a mountain out of a molehill. So the young generation, because they have a strong ego while they are growing up, they just tend to, just stay quiet. They internalize the pain. The mental health struggle remain hidden until they escalate into crisis. A lot of times, the young people come to us, they come to the adults when the situation has gotten out of hands because there was nobody to listen to them, not even among the families, not even among the parents. They felt as if they were able to handle it, but no. Delay in seeking help. If any child comes and say, I think I'm having some emotional troubles, it starts from the family. They start saying, it's all in your head. Many avoid therapy or counseling due to the fear of being seen unstable or you're just crazy. It's all in your head. Lack of safe, confidential spaces in schools or communities. This leads to children doubting the fact, is there any space that we can talk in? Is there any person that we can talk to? Because the factor of trust has become such a questionable mark because everything is shared on social media. The cyberbullying thing I was talking about, if anybody's sharing a person experience, a person struggle, it will be shared on social media, maybe anonymously, maybe just, taking some chunks of the story, but it will be shared. And that is when the cyberbullying starts because the story has become public story. It's not a confidential story. So the factor of trust is 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 very scary for the young generation. Next, please. Identity and self-worth issues. Something must be wrong with me. Y- the idea of self-diagnosis has become such a common practice because of the fear of talking to family, fear of talking to somebody outside the community or school. They think that it is so much better that we self-diagnose ourselves through internet. And we all know what the information on the internet is shared, what kind of information. It lowers the self-confidence, self-esteem, and sense of belonging, creates internalized stigma where youth begins to believe the negative stereotypes. I already shared about the identity confusion. Do I belong here? If something is wrong with me, having emotional expression is not supposed to be related to the fact something is wrong with me. No, you're being yourself, you're being real, you're being human. But the society doesn't allow the young generation you know, to express the authenticity with their emotions. Educational and professional consequences. If I share that I'm struggling with something as a student, oh, it is going to affect my academics because everybody will know that I am somebody who is struggling with emotional struggle or a mental health struggle. It's better I should not say. But because they have internalized it, because they're just trying to cope it by themselves, it starts to affect their academic performance. There are dropouts, and burnout becomes so common because their mental health is ignored. Fear of disclosure in universities or workplaces. While I talk about for the young generation that there should be safe spaces, there should be confidential spaces, confidential sessions. Sometimes that information leaks out. And again, the trust factor. Children need to trust their parents. The parents need to model the trust factors. The school needs to model that trust environment. The teachers need to model that trust environment. The community needs to model that trust environment. Only then the young generation can come and talk to us. Next, please. Okay, let's talk about how we can break the stigma among the young generation. We often hear the word resilience. Resilience is not about avoiding stress, it's about learning to recover and grow with it. How does resilience help in breaking the stigma? Self awareness. Identify the emotions and triggers. Healthy coping tools, journaling, art, mindfulness, sports, or volunteering. Okay, let me just share something here. While you talk about journaling, art, and mindfulness, when somebody is trying to cope with their struggle through art, through journaling, um, it is made fun of sadly. Oh, what is this that you are doing? This is not the way of handling situation. You're not a man. Toughen up. Be a man. That individual is trying to be a man by expressing in the best way they can. Maybe it's not the words, it's the art that they can express their feelings. It's the writing on a paper through which they can express or they can manage their emotions. It's the sports, it's the running, it's the swimming that helps them be in charge of managing their emotions. Growth mindset, the resilience does teach us about growing. Setbacks are a part of life. We have to first accept in the heart that failure is not a sign of weakness. Failure is indeed a step towards growth. Only then we can help the younger generation understand it. Balance boundaries, limit the screen time and comparison cycle. And in a lot of places, their mentorship is offered. Connect the young generation with the role models, with somebody who you think as an adult is the right person for your child, who can guide them, support them, help them in their struggles. Next, please. All right. What the community can do, we as community, how we can support the mental health. We can have support groups or student-led mental health clubs in schools. The school can partner with local NGOs. The school can have counselors and regular awareness programs. Okay, it doesn't only have to be for the students, it can be for parents as well. Invite the parents, be a part of that community, be a part of that program, be a part of that club. So, as a school counselor or the NGO that has been partnered with the school, they can help the parents become aware of what the struggles are, what signs you have to be looking for, and how you can talk to your child about it. Introduce community helplines and online support spaces for youth. Already we have discussed it. Involve religious or community leaders to advocate for compassion and empathy. Empathy is what is lacking as a society, as a community, sometimes as individuals, as a nation, wherever we are. Empathy is lacking, and if we do not model empathy, how our younger generation is going to understand what does it feel like to be in somebody else's shoes and how we can help them. Integrate mental health literacy into youth centers, have some workshops, have some awareness sessions that can involve art, that can involve writing, that can involve mindfulness, that can involve certain mentoring sessions. This is how, as community, we can help the youth mental health. Next, please. Okay. Who can play the integral role in breaking the stigma? Families. Open conversation, encourage open conversation, normalize that it is okay to be emotional. Avoid using the phrases like, it's just a phase, you're crazy, it's all in your head. Model self care as a normal and healthy behavior. Schools and colleges. Integrate mental health education into the curriculum. Just a suggestion. I know it's a long road for something to be done like this, but just a suggestion. Train the teachers in basic psychological first aid and active listening. This is, I think, very important because the teachers, apart from doing only the academics and training only for the academics, there should be awareness sessions and training sessions of how they can be the psychological first aid responders. Community, host awareness drives, build partnerships between youth clubs, health departments, mental health advocates. So these are some small yet effective ways of breaking the stigma for youth mental health. Next, please. All right, I know we are very short of time, and there's another major part that is left for the session, but I would like you to take away this question for yourself. What is your understanding about the world you're living in? You're welcome to leave the answers also in the chat. And now we can move on to the next part of the session. Mental health and well being among women. Most of us are here. Most of us are women, and we know in our heart, in our mind, in our body what challenges we face, and we are going to talk about it in this part of our session. Next, please. The changing world and its impact. No matter from where we are right now, no matter which community, which country, which nation we belong to, I think one of the most common idea of women is that they are able to multitask. This is a term that revolves around our head, our community, our homes, and it buzzes around our lives like a persistent bumblebee. Oh, you're a multitasker. It is encouraged and acknowledged as a superpower of a woman. Oh, she's doing this, she's doing five things at a time, she's looking after the family, she's working, she's doing all the outside work, she is cooking in the house, she's having her children's play dates, and she's all over the place. That is a superwoman, and we idealize it and we share it as the most ideal image of a woman. Some of us wear it like a badge of honor because we were taught that way while we were growing up. You have to multitask, and that is the only way you will be accepted in the outside world. The art of juggling tasks differ from each woman. It is influenced by factors like culture, socio-economic status, and professional demands. There's a list of it, and I can just talk about it and talk about it, but I will try to keep it, as simple because there's a lot to be shared in the coming slides. So, who just maybe raise your hand or maybe a thumbs up? Who here constantly hears this term? Oh, you're a multitasker and you're a superwoman. A lot of us. A lot of us, unfortunately, because this is how we are accepted, unfortunately. Next, please. For many women, multitasking is not a luxury but a necessity, an integral part of their daily hustle. So, is multitasking a survival tactic or a skill? For a lot of women, it is a survival tactic because there is no way out. For some women, it is a skill and they are good at it, and we should not feel, we should not feel inferior if somebody else is multitasking as a skill and we are not able to. All of us are different. All of us have different demands. All of us have different way of lifestyle. All of us have different kinds of responsibilities. Most women have been educated to please others. Oh, we were grown up with this. You have to please others. You have to brush aside your own needs and you have to take care of the needs of the other people. No matter what is running in your head, no matter what is running in your mind, and no matter if you want to do it or not, but you must do it. So they've excuse me. So they find themselves taking an enormous amount of responsibility. In our modern day society, women have won the right to work, but there are still social expectations that they should have the main responsibility of the family. A mother, a woman who is working and trying to make a life at home as well, so many question marks arise. So many exclamation marks arise. So many comments arise. Why? Because she's a woman. Nobody will ask 10 questions to a man because man is supposed to work outside. If a woman is trying to make a career and is still trying to make a family also, there's always a comparison. There will always be question marks. And we will be given the false perception, oh, you're a superwoman. It's a term that is casually said, but it weighs a lot. It comes with a lot of weight, it comes with a lot of burden, and we don't realize it at that moment. Next, please. Okay, so talking about neurologically, our brains are not made for multitasking. Our brains don't truly multitask, but rather switch attention between the tasks rapidly, known as task switching. While this is happening in seconds, it can lead to increased stress levels and decreased productivity. However, this doesn't negate the social expectation placed on women to excel at multitasking, particularly within their professional and personal spheres. While we are trying to multitask, we are also trying to survive, unfortunately. We are trying to survive in the workplace. We are trying to survive at home. We are trying to survive in a community because this is why because this is what the society has you know made an image of a woman for us. You have to multitask, you have to be present everywhere, you have to do this, you have to do that, and you cannot complain. Sadly, the complaint is what? If somebody says, I am tired or I have had enough of the day. We are not supposed to say this. Why? Because we are putting our needs in front of the other people's needs. And this is not acceptable in a lot of societies. Next, please. Okay. Again, a takeaway for you. What's one modern pressure that feels emotionally heavy for you? Take this question with you and reflect on it while we are talking about multitasking, while we are talking about acceptance from the society, while we are talking about the challenges we as women face in even in this day and time of modern technology, modern socialization. What's one pressure that you still feel is emotionally heavy on you? Next, please. Okay. This conversation can go really long, but I'll try to keep it short. And I hope you understand what the message I'm trying to give through these slides. We need to understand the roots of those expectations, those mental health challenges that are coming for women. The social roots are usually family roles, the financial pressure, the multitasking, the workload. We just keep on taking it, taking it, taking it without realizing that it is just going to make us burn out. The emotional roots. If we are trying to give some time to ourselves, the labels, the criticism, the judgment start to creep in before you. They never felt the need to rest. So why do you have the need to rest? We push ourselves, we push ourselves, we keep pushing ourselves to the limit of burnout. Cultural roots of mental health struggles, gender biases. Men are supposed to do this only, women are supposed to do everything else. Silence around emotional needs, labeling for expressing emotions. There is no line of boundary, there is no limit, there is no distinction between this is what I need, this is what I don't need, because the people around us they're not perceptive. They're not receptive about it. Socioeconomic factors in some communities, in some nations, in some countries, in some societies, poverty, yes, it is a reason of mental health struggles because it leads um, It makes the woman try harder and harder and harder to make their lives better. And that's another chapter of discussion with the kind of struggles they experience. Unemployment and workplace discrimination. Of course, workplace discrimination, workplace harassment is also one of the reasons of mental health struggles we face and experience as women. Next, please. Okay, let's not forget biological factors that can lead to mental health struggles for us. Menstrual cycle changes, hormonal changes, pregnancy, menopause. They lead to they all of these lead to emotional outbursts, emotional meltdown, feelings of anxiety, sadness, irritability, anger issues. While on the surface we are experiencing it, for the people outside they think we are just doing it because we are melodramatic, because the women they need attention. People don't realize it's not just one thing that is causing us. It is the biology, how the chemistry inside our body is working. That also causes so many struggles for us. Psychosocial factors. I'm sorry if this can be a triggering conversation for somebody, but I had to share it because this is a reality. We should not forget about it. Psychosocial factors can include domestic violence, sexual assault, and abuse. All of these can lead to post traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, and depression, and gender roles and social expectations add to the grind of stress. These unfortunate experiences that women go through, and because they are not addressed at the right time, they are suppressed. Women take a lifelong baggage of mental health struggles with them. Next, please. Mental health struggles for women. Depression, of course, followed by the negative impact of hormonal, social, and psychic factors. The responsibilities that are carrying on a day-to-day basis, the responsibilities that are on us for keeping everything perfect, keeping everything right, keeping everything, every family, every individual bonded at the cost of our own health. Anxiety disorders, generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, social anxiety disorders are related to anxiety and they happen to be experienced more in women than men. And one thing that I would like to add, while women are growing up and men they are growing up, um, body shaming, constant question on the way the body is developing, that impacts the personality, the perception, the identity of girls. They start questioning themselves. They think they are not able to fit in the society. They're not able to fit in this school community. They're not able to fit in the family. Everybody will hate them because they are having different um, ways of how their body is growing, and hence the depression and anxiety. Next, please. Eating disorder. While I just shared about the body images, if a girl is broad physically, she will start skipping meals. She will intentionally harm her dietary expectations. She will avoid having nutritional food. Why? Because people around her are constantly pointing her out, you are becoming fat. Somebody who is slim, who has a genetic um, structure of being slim and thin, they are labeled as, okay, I'm going to say the names and I'm so sorry if it hurts, if it is triggering for somebody, because it starts from family. It happens in the families first. You look like a matchstick. You look like a toothpick. You look like a branch of a tree. You look like a stem. Um, these are very hurtful terms that first your family is saying and then the society is also saying. Why? Because the family has normalized it in their conversation. Postpartum depression. The new mother may experience postpartum depression. Why? Because there is lack of support, there is lack of physical support, there is lack of emotional support, there is the idea of bouncing back. Why? Because the generations before that mom ignored themselves and they were standing in the kitchen, they were standing for everybody just after a few days of giving birth, and because it was normalized in the generations before, it is expected that the moms of this time should be standing up and bouncing back just after delivery. And if they share their emotional struggle, there are questions or statements like, oh, you should be thankful you have a baby. You should be thankful you have a daughter. You should be thankful you have a son. You should be thankful you have a husband who is, just holding a baby for you. You should be thankful that you have a family now. I'm sorry, but these are very hurtful expressions that you can say to another mom, another woman. And when your emotions are um, shut out, you are told to stay quiet, you are told to suppress. It is a disaster that is happening in the head of that new mom. Next, please. So, the impact of stigma among women is very much the same that I talked about for the younger generation, is that mental health issues are still seen as weakness or overreaction or being melodramatic. Women are often too labeled as too emotional. Oh, you're overthinking. You take everything on your head. What the world around us don't realize is that we are pushed to the point of overthinking. We are pushed to the point of being too emotional. Fear of judgment prevents them from seeking help or therapy. Stigma within the families and workplaces silences women's struggles. Again, living in 2025, I hear stories of so many people who come to me is that my people think that if I will take therapy, I'm a crazy person. There's a lot of work needs to be done around it. It's a long road ahead, but we are working on it, aren't we? Next, please. Limited access to affordable mental health care and female therapists. Okay, this is something I don't know if it will resonate with few of you or not, but yes, there is an extensive amount of effort that is being put in becoming a therapist or a counselor, extensive information, extensive resources that we use for having the knowledge, information, credentials. But we also, as professionals, need to understand that while there is still a stigma of mental health support, if with that stigma we do not provide affordable mental health care, people will do not come to us. They will stop coming to professionals. They will stop going to professionals. Why? Because it is not in their budget. So this is one thing which we as professionals we need to understand. That how about provide certain accessible resources or accessible places, budget free spaces where women can reach out for help. Lack of workplace policies supporting mental emotional well-being or maternity transitions. Minimal community level resources for early interventions and counseling. As I said, if an individual realizes that something is wrong with them and they try to communicate to the person they trust, the labels, the questions usually interfere with the early intervention. Women often prioritize family needs over their own health due to cultural conditioning. Next, please. All right. Let's talk about from
All
struggle to
right.
strength.
Let's talk about from struggle to strength.
What can we do to help women strengthen their existence, strengthen their emotional, um, management, and reaching out for help? Excuse me. Building personal resilience. Again, self awareness. Try to identify what is causing the stress. What is triggering me? What is the pattern of my anxiety? What is the pattern of my sadness? What is the pattern of my unhappiness? Learn to say no without guilt. It is something which we as women struggle so much. And while we are growing up, we are dictated that you're not allowed to say no because no means that you are a rude person, no means you're a mean person, no means you are ill mannered. So you're not supposed to say no. Mindfulness and grounding, daily pauses to reconnect with self. Find something that brings joy to your 5 minutes. Find something that helps you reconnect with yourself. Supporting networks, professional help. Again, it's a long road, but we are working on it. We need to normalize the fact that it is okay to reach out to a professional, whether it's a therapist or a counselor or a coach or somebody who you think can help you in, getting the kind of help you need. Emotional resilience help women navigate life transitions. It doesn't really have to be hugging somebody, just some words, um, some encouraging words, some acknowledging words can help women feel seen and valued. Next, please. Encouraging open conversations. Again, this is a challenge in so many families, but someone has to break that wall. Someone has to break that stigma. And someone has to start talking about it without the fear and without the guilt because it is our right. There shouldn't be any silence or hush hush or or you're not supposed to talk about it. We have to start avoiding such conversations. We have to encourage women. I am listening. And it starts from family. It starts within the four walls of the house. It starts between a husband and a wife, between a mom and a daughter, between a father and a son, between siblings. It starts from home. Someone has to start the conversation. Be empathetic. Replacing with phrases like be strong, it's just a phase, it will pass, you have to stay strong. How about we say it's okay not to be okay? It's okay if you're feeling like this. We are living in a digital era. We are living in a socially digital, accessible era. Connect with communities that are talking about it. Avoid judgments and practice reframing insensitive conversations. Again, this has to start from home, among the families, among the parents, among the siblings. Try to avoid judging what the person in front of you is trying to say. Next, please. Strengthening community based mental health support. Again, it's very much like what I talked about in the community support of youth. Partner with NGOs, have some mom groups, have some women's group, have some um, you know, intimate workshops where it is all about being mindful. It is all about being, it's okay not to be okay. Try to connect with professionals who are willing to share their information on a budget friendly criteria. Um, establish safe spaces, have women circles, have coffee mornings, have monthly meetups, have some, casual conversations because sometimes it's just two women who need to hear each other. Collaborate with mental health professionals, as I mentioned, and educators. Making mental health literacy a part of community programs, add short talks, workshops, awareness drives. Um, you have a library in your community, have a group of 5 moms, 5 women at the start, and see the response that you are having. And that space should have the guarantee of confidentiality that whatever you will share and talk is going to stay there. It will not be shared out, because trust is something that, if it is not there, nobody will talk about their struggles. We need to give them the feeling that you are trusted and you can trust us because we are trying to help you. Next, please. All right. I'm ending this session with this statement I found so much relevant, and it felt so much it felt resonated, and I think it will resonate with you all as well. Empowered youth and women are not those who never struggle, but those who learn to pause, feel, and begin again with compassion. Your mental well being is not secondary, it is the foundation of everything you give to others. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to this session. Um, it was a very extensive topic. I could have talked for more, but I understand we are on a time constraint, so I hope I was able to give the message that we were supposed to talk about today.
Hello, Madam Ahmad Sari. This has been so enriching. I must confess, and the interactions from the chat testify to the great session. It's been a healing one, as some people see, a lot of questions, and the topic could go on, and I can identify with you as a lived experience that I'm really passionate discussing about this because it's my own healing journey. So, so many questions in the chat, but we'll just take the few that we can for time reasons. And people are encouraged to keep on following with Women Ascension, and you can as well connect with Mam Amansari on LinkedIn and other social media networks to further clarify the numerous questions that we will not be able to address all. So let me just quickly read the first worry, and we'll try to be snappy about the responses. Like Achungwa Georgette, she says, please, what is the relationship between insomnia and anxiety?
I'm sorry, I could not hear you clearly. Can you say it again, please?
Yes, ma'am. A participant is asking for the relationship between insomnia and anxiety.
Okay. Uh, so insomnia, as I said, is a condition which comes in different stages: early, middle, and the last. Um, so the connection between anxiety and insomnia is in such a way: anxiety often leads us to overthinking. Anxiety leads us to assume that this is going to happen. And when you are overthinking and assuming, your brain is functioning on a very fast pace. Your brain is sort of creating scenarios in your head, and it's forcing you to visualize a lot of times the worst case scenarios. So when you have those assumed scenarios in front of you, you find it hard to calm yourself down. You find it hard to close your eyes because it is making you feel scared. It is making you fearful, and it is making you question so many things for yourself. And this is a quick explanation of the relationship of anxiety and insomnia. When you are anxious, you're not able to think rationally. And when there is no rational thinking, there is overthinking. It is very hard to calm your brain down, calm your body down, calm your nervous system down, eventually making you, experience lack of sleep. Does that make sense?
Okay, mom. Thank you very much for that response. And I'm going to quickly take the second worry on the chat. And later on, we are going to take some hands that are up.
Yeah.
Dr. Kiran is asking that please discuss the addiction of gaming and the isolation from real world among adolescents.
Okay, so this is a topic which can have its very own session as well, but I'll just give a brief. So while or when a child or individual is playing a game, it's an adrenaline rush that is happening inside your body. You're excited, you know, you're excited and it's making you feel in charge and you just want to keep on going and going and going. And when the individual feels that they are in charge of the doing it and they're in control of that situation, why would anybody stop? And it is making them, it's making their body feel satisfied, you know, and everything is happening quickly. Everything in the game is in their control, and their mind is just having that quick responses that, that you want to happen in real life also, but it is not happening. There's no interruption, you know. Occasionally, there is no interruption. So when your body is satisfied in a weird kind of way, when you're in charge of that situation, nobody's asking you questions, and you're feeling good, and there is adrenaline rush, why would anybody stop? And that's when the addiction starts. And one more thing, you're sort of disconnected from the reality that is happening around you because that reality is not what you want to be for yourself. That reality sort of is not aligning with who you want to be. So that game is your that game is your distraction. That game is where you connect with yourself. I hope I make sense. And does that answer your
Thank you.
question?
Thank you, Mara. Yeah, thank you very much. Let's give the floor to Five Market to ask
Sure.
a worry. Please just make it short. Five, Felicitas.
Thank you so much for giving me the floor. Not actually a question, but just a short experience that I've had as a woman. I am 43 years of age now. And just like Ms. Abna is talking about mental health for women, I was getting a little bit emotional in the course of the presentation because it is like a mirror of the stages which I have gone through in life. You get, yeah, there is a particular period where I was diagnosed with an inflammation of the left ventricle of my heart that was caused by generalized anxiety disorders because of a lot of family things that you have to carry as a woman. You have to focus on your job. You have to take care of your children. You have to take care of extended families that maybe are forced on you, not by you saying that, yes, I need them, but because the culture demands for you to extend a hand of fellowship by taking care of others. So all of that was a lot of burden on me until I was able to see a professional and was able to say, tick a lot of no to a lot of things that were coming up as requests, to tick a lot of no, like she mentioned. Not everything is a yes, but to remove some and say, no, it is time to take care of myself, for myself. Then I began to feel better. Then I began to reason out that, okay, yes, I am a human being that I can also take care of myself. I can also say no and be fine about it. And that will not make me feel selfish. And that will not make me look like a bad person. Yeah, I just had to shun away every advice that other persons could give, but I focus on my therapist and the sessions that I had with the therapist. And today I can tell you there are many decisions that I take because I am informed, not because I am pressurized by the society or the community or my family. So thank you so much. It has been a very helpful session. And being a mother of teens, my daughter's at 21, and the last is 14 years old, 3 all girls. It's not been easy, Miss Abner, to deal with these children and their mental health concerns. So being a mother and growing up from a struggling family and looking now at my children growing up, I have now this capacity, because I am healing, to be able to bring up my girls in the way that they too will grow with a mental well-being. So thank you so much for the session. I think I'm going to play for the whole family to listen, and why not? Thank you so much.
Thank you
Oh,
so much.
thank you so much,
Thank you so
Mrs.
much.
Price. Thank you.
I
We are glad.
appreciate you sharing it, and I understand it's not always easy to share your vulnerable parts of life so openly and to the world, but thank you so much, and I'm sure this would have come as an inspiration to the participants here. Thank you so much.
So true, ma'am. So true. We need such openness, and so that to normalize the discussions as we just mentioned today. So I also had a series of questions myself, and I would like to ask this one, whether, ma'am, whether you consider the Gen Z as the happiest of all generations. And if it's a yes or a no, can you just kindly tell us the strategies that it needs to maintain or to change for better?
Can you please repeat the question? I'm sorry, I didn't hear it clearly.
Okay, ma'am. The question is whether the Gen Z is the happiest of all generations. If it's a yes or a no, can you just tell us the strategies to maintain if they are the happiest or to change for the better?
So, if I heard you correctly, you're asking if Gen Z is the happiest generation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Um, I guess they are happy in their own sense, just like us, the millennials. We say that, we are the happiest, or we were the happiest, or we grew in the happiest of the times. Um, I guess the definition of happiness changes from generation to generation because the experiences teach us differently. The way I was brought up, it was the happiest for me. The way our children are growing up, it is the happiest for them. The experiences that I share with my children, or this is how we used to do, this is what we used to do, they think that we were very limited, in having the happiness and having the joy of everything. For Gen Z, so many experiences of millennials are like alien experiences. What? How? What? How did you survive that? And for us, it was, the way of life. It was our happy living. And right now, this generation has access to everything. This generation knows how to stand for themselves, when to stand themselves. They have a voice. We did not have a voice at that time. We were still happy then because we did not have the awareness. We started to have the awareness later on. But Gen Z, I think, has the power of being happy in their own way, and they don't care if somebody is questioning them because they know what they're doing is right. I hope I answered.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Thank
Yes, yes,
you.
Miss Amna, thank
And
you so much for your question. Dear Shumi, can you please? Um, Miss Amna, thank you so much for this session and for giving your time to us. As I know you have problem and we are across the time and we respect your time as well. So we know that you have some issues. So we would like to end the session for the participant that we could not take their questions. I'm really sorry and I apologize for that. And they can connect to me on LinkedIn and they can drop their question on LinkedIn for you and you can answer them. So
Definitely.
dear
Thank you so much.
Chiomo,
yes, ma'am. Thank you.
always welcome, Miss Amna. Dear Chiomo, you can end the session. So we're good to go.
Okay. Thank you very much, Miss Tamina. It's been such a wonderful session for me as well, and I think for all the participants here and those who are on YouTube watching, and even those who will be watching us later. We are urged and encouraged to continue such conversations. We once more thank you, Mrs. Amna Ansari, for such a great session, and the Women Ascension for such an inclusive global platform led by Dr. Mahe, such an exemplary global leader and an example for everyone to follow. Such a dynamic team and keep on following so many sessions coming up. And thank you very much once more for being a part of this session. Looking forward to see you in subsequent sessions. Have a blessed evening, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much, Mr. Amol, Mr. Amina. Thank you so much. Take care, everybody. Good night.
Thank you so much, Masamna. Everybody, bye bye.